John Mendez, I just want to say congratulations to you. I'm so proud of you. You have reached guru level when it comes to podcasting. Congratulations on 100 episodes. You're impacting, you're inspiring, you're making a living while making a difference. And I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to the next 100 and the next 1,000. Let's get it.
Just give us a quick intro. Who are you? What do you do?
All right, so my name is Brian Maynard. I come from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Originally, I started off as an electrician. I still am an electrician till this day, but I also do real estate wholesaling. I started a company earlier this year with one of my partners in the firm, Keith, and I do that as well as I do invest in rental properties.
Amazing. So the podcast is called Walk to Wealth, right? And it's all about journey. So you grew up in the slums, pretty much. You grew up in the projects as well, pretty much, right? In a harsh environment. And so it's like, tell us, what was it like getting into real estate investing, knowing that you grew up where you did, and a lot of people that grow up in your environment don't make it out, don't do what you get into, and are usually like lost in life. What was it like getting into real estate investing?
All right, so that's how it goes. I didn't grow up in a right, making it sound real bad, but
You gotta tell the story a little bit, right? You gotta tell the story, right?
But I did grow up in Bridgeport. It's not the best place, as we all know. But growing up, you see things. You see the good way to do the bad thing. So, looking up, like my older brother invested in real estate, so he was a big influence on me early on. Like I saw him purchase a house young, so that's what I always wanted to do. But it wasn't until I got older and then I got introduced to your Kids podcast is when I really started to get into it and figure out that this is what I want to do full time and get into investing.
So now tell us, what do you got going on now? I know you and my boy Keith over there got some real estate wholesaling things going on. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, right? There's a lot of people in this room, from agents to people in personal finance to people not in real estate at all to people all over the place, right? So for anyone that doesn't know what wholesaling is, what is that and why is that an investment vehicle that people can look into when starting to get into real estate that usually doesn't have as many boundaries and barriers to entry as some of the other real estate investment vehicles?
All right, so wholesaling it's a great way to build up capital because basically you find an off-market deal and you lock it up for a set price, and then what you do is you sell the contract to an investor, whether it be a flipper or whatever the case may be, and they buy it, and you get like the little gap in between how much you locked it up for and how much you get it to the person for. So it's a great way to start off, and definitely if you're low on capital, it's a great way to build capital so you can eventually turn that into money so you can you can end up buying rental properties. That's the
And so let me ask you, right? Because as you see, we have tons of amazing people here. You also have your own meetup. What was what was networking able to do for you in your career? How much do you value networking? And tell us, like, why is that something that's so necessary, not only just in real estate space, but like in life in general?
So networking to me is very important. I actually met Keith at his meetup, and I was very nervous to go to meetup. I didn't know too much information. I was like scared, but then I went out. I met Keith. Keith welcomed me with open arms to his meetup, and then down the line, a year down the road, I ended up being partners with him. And then I actually have a co-host for my meetup, Eric, over there. I also met him at that same meetup, and then we ended up starting to meet up together. So to me, I think networking is very important in any aspects of life because you never know who you never know what someone could do for you. Like you never know, like meeting someone, what trajectory they will change.
And so tell us really quickly before I ask you my last question. Tell us about your networking meetup next week. Tell us your special guest that you got coming in to your meetup. I know he's a big time real estate investment guy. So share for anyone that wants to go to your real estate investor meetup next week. Tell us how we could get there and who's coming in.
All right, so, we host our meetup in Derby at Bad Sons Brewery. And our special guest next week is Welby. Instagram, he's at mybest197. He's done 150 flips in the last 5 years, and he's a huge buy and hold investor in Connecticut. He's a great guy. He has a great story. He was actually featured on a Pockets podcast. So, well-known guy, and definitely someone to come out and meet.
And the last question for everyone here. What is the most impactful lesson you've learned in life?
Just discipline and just keep trying over and over again because you will get knocked off. Thing is, you just got to back on.
Alrighty, I appreciate you, brother, man. Give a round of applause for Brian, man. This guy is a marketing genius. He is the founder of Your Own Narrative. And so I want to give a quick shout out to our next sponsor. She's helping me out at the registration right up. Emily Chevalier. She is the event coordinator for the Whale. Reach out to her if you're interested in booking any event or large party, whether it's indoors, on the rooftop. So if you have any birthday parties, dinners, happy hours, networking events, whatever you need, make sure to reach out to her. That's where you want to host all your events. And you would also see me at Sign Well too. And maybe Rob. So get up. All righty, Guillory, let's get into this, man. So we had the pleasure to meet you to our mutual friend, Brandon Gadors. Thanks for Brandon being on the camera today. So tell us, man, for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to meet you, man, you got a lot of amazing things going on, not only with your business, but for the community as well. So tell us what you got going on.
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you for having me here. Congratulations, bro. 100 past episode is not easy. So really big shout out to you. But really what I've been able to do these past few years, I have a nonprofit, which is called Change for Haitian Youth, that's supporting Haitian kids in Haiti to teach them how to speak English, as well as teaching them computer literacy courses. I'm also the founder of Build Your Own Narrative, LLC, which is a company that I've started last year, which is really focusing on helping small business owners to empower their personal brand and being able to help them with regards to elevating them as well. So right now, it's just been getting things going, building the clientele, and continuously see how best we can help other people as we do that.
Amazing. So we both went to UConn stores. You ended up, I'm mistaken, going the not tech startup, but like the startup route and working with startups. And then you started into getting your own startup, Build Your Own Narrative now going. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in the room here. So when it comes to entrepreneurs, we're kind of forced into social media, right? We're kind of forced to brand ourselves and market ourselves on social media, whether we want to or not. So like, where do people go wrong when it comes to marketing and starting off their business?
Yeah, so I think it's so interesting as you say that, because my route in getting into entrepreneurship was working with startup companies. And back then I was working as a software engineer, but I was fortunate enough to receive opportunities to do UI, UX design. And I remember one of my projects was to be able to actually increase our following on Facebook. And the biggest thing that I found is we weren't able to connect enough with our existing audience because we didn't have an existing brand. And part of that was given to the fact that the company that I was working for, the founder himself wasn't able to really put his voice out. He had a great mission and he was doing something amazing, which he's still doing till this day, that they're now just raised about $2 million, by the way. But when he was starting out, I remember the biggest issue we found is not being able to actually put himself out there a lot sooner by being able to use his voice in a manner that would effectively connect with his existing audience. So I think a lot of people really miss out on that in terms of the early engagement. And that could be your friends, your families, and people that you go to school with. So I think it really speaks volume.
All right, let's get right into this one. So, Austin, man, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I've been scouting you for a while now. You haven't noticed, but I knew I wanted to get you on my platform some way, shape, or form. But for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to get to meet you yet, brother, tell us who you are and what do you do?
How you doing, everybody? Nice to see you all. My name is Austin, the Insurance Guy Glazer. I own Safe Shield Insurance. It's a full-service insurance brokerage. I'm 26 years old, and prior to owning my insurance brokerage, I worked for one of the largest insurance companies in the world, where I was number 9 in the country. And in addition to that, I had a podcast for a bit. I have a new podcast. I have a very large networking community. And in addition to that, I like long walks on the beach, and I love to play golf.
Alrighty, awesome. So I want to start off asking this question, man, because you came up, and now he has vodka. Give it up for some vodka.
You let me.
Alrighty, so Austin, so I was able to hear your story a little bit, how you went from undesirable to undeniable, right? So tell us a little bit about your upbringing, man, and how you were able to find your way, because I know you had some trouble figuring out what it was that you wanted to do. So how were you able to figure things out and get it popping so early off in your life?
Sure. Can you hold that for a sec? Sure. So when I'm going to tell a story, everyone's got to listen, you know? So when I was 16 years old, I was the type of kid that had everything handed to them, newest shirts, newest shoes, you name it, everything was mine. But my mom, she was diagnosed with a terminal form of brain cancer and given 3 months to live. Well, she passed away, and my father very quickly decided he didn't want to be a father anymore, and I was left to fend for myself. Next, I was put up for adoption, taken in by my aunt and uncle in Westchester, New York. Meanwhile, I was living in Boca Raton, Florida, and I gave up everything because I was living in Boca Raton and I was smoking weed, doing drugs, and I love weed, but at the time, weed wasn't good for me. And I was doing all these drugs, I wasn't going to classes, and I wasn't becoming who I should be. And I called up my aunt and uncle, I told them that I was about to go for adoption and all of this stuff, and they agreed to take me in. And when they took me in, I realized that I needed to be someone better than who I was being at that very moment in time. And I went to college, paid my way through college. I was working 5, 6 jobs through college. And then I went on to work for one of the largest insurance companies in America, just through hard work, perseverance, and believing in myself and the utmost confidence. The way I sit in this chair and I ask for that vodka, all these things, it's confidence. And confidence is what got me to sit in front of you today. Because I went from being a guy who had nothing handed to him, who went from being the guy who could hand anyone anything, because that's what I've done with my life. I went on to launch my own insurance brokerage. I went on to buy rental properties throughout Connecticut. And I stand here before you, someone completely different than the short story summed up of the guy that had nothing, or who used to have everything handed to him, had nothing, and then made something of himself. So that's who I am. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Alrighty, so the first question I want to ask you to start things off is because you had a very good job, right? You were making a lot of money at your company. You climbed the ranks. You were at top 10. I have over 10,000 employees across the country. And you left that to start your own thing. There's a poem called The Road Less Traveled By, and it's made all the difference. It's how it ends. And so what was it like just picking up and leaving everything that you had already that was stable to get into something that you feel was more worthwhile, but didn't know if it would succeed or not? Like, what was that like? Take us to that point in your life.
Thank you for that. I wanted the mic. Any of you guys believe in mental health? You guys have therapists? Does anyone have a therapist here? That's unbelievable that only one person just raised their hand. I have a therapist, and if I can tell you the conversations that went on with my therapist prior to me deciding to leave my job, I was making $500,000 at 24 years old. And I said to myself, I'm not happy, right? Because I built this huge brand online where everybody was saying, I want to give you my business. I want to give you my business. But the thing was, I wasn't satisfied because I knew that I was destined for more. But the fear of the unknown, and it's so funny, as I'm telling you this story, I'm almost quoting my keynote from A to B right now, but the fear of the unknown was truly paralyzing. I cannot tell you, I could call my best friend Kevin or my best friend Matt. The amount of times I would call them and tell them, hey, I don't know if this is a good decision. I don't know if this is a good decision. Listen, before owning my own company, I interviewed at 40 different insurance companies, and I got 37 different offers. Could you imagine getting 37 different offers? I got all of those. But here's the thing. All of those offers were either they were going to let me do one thing, but they weren't going to let me do the other, or they weren't going to let me be Austin the insurance guy. So I said, fuck it all. I'm not going to do that. And then I started to explore the possibility of partnering with someone to create my own insurance brokerage. And someone sat me down and they said to me, Austin, why would you pay someone for knowledge when you can read a book and do it yourself? I didn't read the book, but that's what I did. I did it myself, but I cannot tell you how paralyzing the fear is. And guys, here I am, and I've built a successful business. That fear still exists. I talked to my therapist today, and you all should get therapists. I cannot believe that only one person raised their freaking hands. 2, 3, maybe. I'm the third. What I talked to her about today is I said, listen, what if I fail? What if I fail? Right? Because that fear still exists in each and every one of us. We all might fail. But would you rather fail by not trying something that you thought you wanted to try? Or would you rather fail by working for someone else and paying that man something, right? I'd rather die knowing that I gave it everything I had. And that's what the fear was like for me, Joe.
Man, there's a quote I love, and we're going to get deep really quickly. Pause. But, right, so there's a quote, and it's when you're born, you look like your parents. When you die, you look like your choices. And each point in your life, you were able to make the hard decisions that got you to where you are today. Like, what type of mindset do you have to build to come to the point where you're able to make those decisions? Because you can come up here and say that confidently, but yet it's something that the vast majority of people never, ever get the courage to do. And there's another quote up before I hand it back over to you. It's right. Courage isn't being fearless. It's feeling the fear and doing anyways. It's not acting like the fear isn't there. We're still all scared, just some people decide to move forward. So how did you get to the point, how did you build that mindset where you could make decisions and take action despite not knowing what would take place and not knowing what would go on afterwards?
Thanks. I would say that the biggest thing is perception is everything, right? If I keep repeating to you, that I'm a killer and I'm going to be the best goddamn insurance agent that's ever lived, well, I'll probably do it. Now, internally, I'm chewing myself up thinking, what if I can't do it? But if and maybe a lot of people would disagree with this, but if I keep building myself up to the point where I can't let myself decide otherwise, to do all the things that I'm saying, well, then I'm going to do it. And I think that that's kind of, to answer your question, like the thoughts that were going through mine is like, listen, I've built a major book. I was making major money at 24 years old. I was number 9 in an industry where most people are boomers. They're 50, 60 years old. I'm the only person who's 35 years old and down. Like, there's something here. What am I missing? And what I realized I was missing was nothing, because what I was missing was the belief in myself that I can do it. And then I realized that it's all about the confidence that you portray upon others. I might not be the greatest insurance agent of all time, but you all believe that I am right now as I stand here in front of you, because I tell you with the utmost confidence that I'm the greatest goddamn agent you've ever seen. And you believe it. And that's the thing. So you believing it makes me believe it. And it gives me the confidence to do it. And that's why I felt that way.
It's like this never-ending loop, and he doesn't know it, but me and Matt over there, we were talking outside of Edge Fitness for like almost an hour one time after working out. I don't go there anymore. Bad. Don't go to Edge Fitness. I go to LA now. Yeah.
It's the ugliest place in the world. I live across the
So me and Matt were talking one day randomly, and he doesn't know that I quote him all the time, but he told me that there's about 8 billion people on the planet. That's 8 billion different realities. And ever since he told me that, it stuck with me. So now every time I go on other people's podcasts, I'll be telling these fire quotes, and it's like, he doesn't get any credit, but yeah, just know I'm using your quotes. So I wanted to ask you, man. So it's like, you said perception is everything, right? And so you built up your perception, and now that you've made it to the other side, what is it like now? How do you continue to find success? A lot of people get it, and they say the day you see if someone's really meant to make it or not is the day after success, right? That's the most important day, because usually people take their foot off the gas. How have you been able to keep it on and just keep applying pressure?
Well, first thing I want to say, for those that went to speaker school, I want to say it's unbelievably ironic that he's talking about quoting people and Carl walks in, and I'll never forget in speaker school, Carl showing us the presentation on how to quote someone effectively. Gee, I know you were there, you lived it. Rob, you lived it. That's just very funny irony. How do I know? Well, here's the thing, right? I haven't made it yet. But here's the thing. Complacency is the best friend of the devil. And if you let the devil win, you lose, right? So I have not made it yet. So I don't know that I'm through to the other side yet. But the thing is, I'm going to keep swinging, because I never let myself lose, and I never get defeated. You know what I'm saying?
So before I ask you my last question, where can we connect with you at? Where can we find you at? I know you got your company. I know you got the massive brand online. Where can we find you at? So if we want to hear more about your story and learn more about what you do.
Well, like I said, I like long walks on the beach. You could probably find me on the beach, maybe the golf course, but in all seriousness, you can find me at Austin Glazer on every single social media platform except TikTok, because here's the crazy thing. I think I created a profile 20 years ago, and like they're saying Austin Glazer does not exist there. But so it's Austin the Insurance Guy on TikTok, Austin Glazer everywhere else. Please follow me on Instagram. That'll make it worth it for me. Go ahead, all you get your phone out, follow me. Let's make it.
And so the last question, right, is if you had to change someone's life with one book or one podcast, which one would you recommend and why?
I have 2 answers. I'm not sure the second one's very good. But the first one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the reason that I answer with Rich Dad, Poor Dad is because that taught me that the value of the dollar is greater than what you put into it, right? The rat race is fucking crazy, right? You can run on that rat wheel for hours and hours and hours, but you're never going to reach the top, because that rat wheel is a circle, right? And that circle keeps on going. And every time you run, you're just going to keep running the same race. And my second answer, the best book you can read that will change your life is the one that is still being written, right? The first chapter, the second chapter, the third chapter. If I went back to 16 years old Austin, as I was just telling you guys about when my mom passed away, boy, I wouldn't believe the 5th, 6th, and 7th chapter. And then if I told you what the 20-year plan is looking like when I'm sitting on a golf course with another vodka Tito's in my hand or a Tito soda in my hand, Austin would not believe the stories that he continues to tell every single day. Because, one thing, here I am sitting in front of all you guys. It was only a month and a half ago that Brandon over there gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to attend speaker school, Carl as well. And here I am. I've done 5 or 6 events since, and it's changed my life. And these are chapters in my personal story, my autobiography. Jeff, we were talking about writing autobiographies earlier. These are chapters in my autobiography that I never could have envisioned writing. So the ink is still wet, right? Keep your story going. Every day is going to be different, and just keep fighting, keep swinging. Like I said, complacency is the best friend of the devil. You let the devil win, you lose. Keep swinging. Cheers.
For Austin! So, Darren, a lot of people don't know this, but when I started taking my podcast seriously, I was about 40 episodes in or not, and I was creating my ideal avatar. And when I drew up my ideal avatar, the first person I thought of was you, because you're someone that's been supporting the show. You're someone that's been supporting me for a minute now. So how have you been able to take what I've been helping you out with and just apply that to your life? And just because you also taken a very similar path where you left college, you got into real estate around the same time where I left college and got into real estate. And so it's like, how has life been for you as you just started to navigate your own journey?
I would say that my life, I'm happier with where I'm at in my life, because when I was in college, as I told John, I was at a very dark place. I wasn't depressed. I won't say I was depressed, but I was really I wasn't happy with my life and where I was at. So when I listened to John's podcast, it showed me different entrepreneurs. Just seeing you don't have to finish college. College is a great option, but going to college, it's not everything. I used to think that. I used to think that if you didn't go to college, you were some sort of a failure. So I saw myself failing in college as I was a failure. So when I left college and I saw real estate, when I listened to John's podcast, I figured out not going to college is not going to college. It's as long as you have a plan, you know what you're doing. It's everything. You don't have to go to college for everything.
Yeah. So now you're starting to catch a stride a little bit. You're starting to get things going. What does life look like now that you've taken command of your life? There's a quote in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's like, you are the captain of your fate and the master of your soul, or something like that. I'm butchering the quote. But now that was it. There we go. So now that you have control of your life, and to kind of piggyback off what Austin was saying, now that you're writing your story, right? A lot of people have a book. Everyone has a book. Not everyone's writing their own story, though. Usually there's someone else writing it for them. Now that you're taking control of your life, now that you're taking that pen back, what is life like now?
Life is great, I would say. I'm still not where I want to be at. Yeah, give it up. I won't say that I'm where I want to be at, but I have a clear goal of where I want to be in 10 years. I won't say exactly where I want to be at, but I told John on our phone call, because he'll call me, but I told him where I want to be at in my next 10 years. So I'm really happy with where I'm at right now.
And so let me ask you, right, for anyone that wants to get started on their walk to wealth today, right, what is the first step you recommend they take? Because you're still very fresh into your journey. So it's like, what is your first step you recommend anyone take to start getting control of their life again?
I would tell someone to just do it. I was real scared when I told my parents that I didn't want to go to school anymore. I was real scared. I knew my dad would be real mad at me, but I just knew that real estate was something that I wanted to do. So when I finally told him that I'm not going to school anymore, I want to do real estate full time. Of course he was mad at me, but after a few months he saw that I was doing actually pretty well, and he sat me down. He was like, "Darren, I'm actually very proud of you, because when you first got into real estate, I thought this was just going to be a quick thing. You weren't going to do anything and you're just going to go back to college." But when he told me that he was proud of me, that it really hit with me. So, yeah.
Man, give it up for Darren. So I've been doing a lot of research into storytelling. And so one of the things that, his name is Ben Campbell, he created the hero's journey. So if you start learning about storytelling, you'll realize that every Hollywood film followed this frameworks. And one of the steps in the hero's journey is called atonement of the father. So in order for the hero to step into his full powers, in order for the hero to step into his true self, the person that he holds highest in his life has to die off, metaphorically speaking, right? And so until you're able to do that, you will never be able to truly step into the person that you're meant to become. So whoever is that person that is just holding over you, that reigns control over your life, that person has to die off metaphorically in order for you to propel to the person you're meant to become. So I'm just super glad to have Darren here. I'm glad I was able to help him. He's someone that I've been playing football with, I went to high school with, and I've known for years now. So just thank you guys all again for coming here. Give a round of applause for Darren, man.
Right. One second.
Hey everyone, welcome to Walk to Wealth Live. I got one of my best friends here, Darren. Tell us, what was your experience like? You got to speak on stage. What did you learn? What did you take away?
Well, John shocked me by speaking. Just speaking. I don't usually do the public speaking, but it was great. What I took today was I got to be a more confident person because when you put yourself out there and network, you meet good people. And once you have the confidence in yourself, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. That's what I took away from today.
100%. And how has this event helped you grow and help you advance on your walk to wealth?
Well, this podcast has helped me learn that everybody got a story. Everybody wants to hear your story. You just got to get in the room with the right people to hear your story. So I'm going to go to more networking events. And yeah, and I'm just going to market myself more. Try to do that.
I appreciate you, bro. Alrighty, so we're here at Walk to Wealth Live. We just finished up this event. And Matt, you're someone I know personally for a while now. What was the biggest takeaway you got from attending today?
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Have that confidence in yourself. Don't be afraid and still do it. It's important to feel that fear and still do it and go for it no matter what's stopping you, especially with your quote from Joseph Campbell with the atonement of the father. You have to kill that figure that's holding you back and just go for it. Go into the unknown. Go into the abyss. And when you come back out, you will have that elixir of life. You're going to be a new you. The gold, the treasure.
And let me ask you one last question. How has this event helped you get further on your walk to wealth?
Better choices. Make better choices with your financial decisions and with your life and with your relationships. Invest in yourself and others will invest in you.
All right, so Padia, we're here at Walk to Wealth Live. We just finished up. Let me know, what is your biggest takeaway from today?
My biggest takeaway was when it was mentioned that like you're the author of your life, like you're writing the book, so your story is still being written. You just have to keep like every chapter means something different. So what are you doing, and how are you completing that chapter of your life? So I think my biggest thing also too, like you doing the live podcast kind of inspired me. I've been wanting to do a live podcast myself. It's like what's keeping me from doing it. Now it's like seeing it live. It's like, wow, like the connection, the network, and the gem that's being shared, and the growth that you've been sharing too. I was like, that's so many to remember, but I think the goal is just like not to give up on yourself. If you have a dream, just keep going and keep pushing and just like going after what you want, and know that it's going to be hard, but as long as you are motivated, you're enthusiastic about your life, you can do it. Yeah.
100%. And let me ask you, how has this event helped you advance in your walk to wealth? How does it help you progress?
Listen, it just makes my dream even bigger. It just makes everything like amplify everything for me to show like what I used to want to do. It's like I always wonder like how can I do it, but now that I'm entering certain circles, I'm seeing like how it's being done. I'm like, it's possible. So I don't have to be fearful of doing it. I can actually step into it and face that fear and say, okay, all right, just find a space, do the event, do what you got to do, and just keep push through. So I think this just amplify everything for me. Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
love
much. Alrighty. So this is my boy Marcus. For anyone that doesn't know, I was actually supposed to start this podcast with him. Life ain't end up working out how we originally drew it up, but nevertheless, we still move forward. We're still growing together. So Marcus, this is your first time coming to Walk to Wealth Live. What is the most impactful takeaway you learned from today?
It's a very eye-opening experience, seeing a lot of different professionals and things of that nature. Just taking it all in and figuring out what you want to do with your life. And it's just very eye-opening experience to take from it.
And so now let me ask you, how has this event helped you advance in your walk to wealth? How has this event helped you move forward?
It just keeps your mindset sharp, just keeps you on that edge to like, okay, this is where I want to be. Let me continue. There's a lot of successful people in the room. You just want to live up to that experience. So that's all.
Appreciate you, brother. King, the young executive himself is here.
Yeah, I made it.
Yeah. So this is someone that I look up to, someone that is more of a mentor figure to me. And he showed out today. And it just really meant a lot to just have someone that has helped me in my journey watch me in action. So, King, what was your most impactful takeaway from today?
Yo, I can't tell you enough how proud of you I am. So first and foremost, salute to you. Listen, the most impactful thing for me is just the whole concept, right? Check this out. Walk to wealth. The quote that you ended with put everything in perspective because so many people are looking for that quantum leap to wealth. I want success now. I want to be a millionaire now. I want all these things now, but they don't understand the compound effect of it. It's small steps of progress, literally walking towards success. Everyone wants to be healthy, but they don't realize that instead of going on an extreme diet, all it takes is making one decision at lunchtime, one decision at dinner time, one decision at breakfast time in order to get to where you want to be. Everyone wants to be a millionaire, but if you saved a little bit every single day, you would get to where you want to be, right? Everyone wants the perfect relationship, but if you work on getting better, working on yourself every single day, you would get to where you want to be. We want that quantum leap, but your quote that you ended with put everything in perspective. It's a walk to wealth. It's a walk to abundance. It's a walk to health. Walk to whatever your goal is. So thank you.
Battle of attrition, right? And I know you're a little further on your walk, but nevertheless, you're still walking. So
Yeah,
how would
absolutely.
this event help you progress in your walk?
Listen, the people that spoke on stage today, the network that's here is adding to everything, right? I met a gentleman that was at the last event that I was a part of, and he was like, man, because of your speech, I was able to network more. I was able to learn more. I was able to review my notes. I'm like, man, that's something that I realized that I'm not the greatest at.
Yeah.
Following up on the relationships that I established at networking events and reviewing the notes that I take, right? So here, I was able to take a lot of mental notes and I was able to meet a lot of people, but that conversation in this networking environment let me realize, like, man, you got to go review and you got to establish those relationships.
Appreciate you, King. I just want to thank all you guys from the bottom of my heart for supporting the podcast, for support. And there's a quote that I love to say that I'll end you guys. The walk to wealth is a long walk. Some may walk quicker than others, but what good is sprinting, finish, pass out when you cry? That's what I mean.